What's up, everybody? It's LaMuerteBlanca, and we are back for another Borderlands 3 character build video. The last couple videos, we were working with Amara. Today, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to be talking about Fl4k. This first class, I call a robot's best friend. This build is for those who want to make their pet as strong as possible. So before we dive into the perks, the way we did this build is we focused around the master skill tree and then threw a couple skills into the Stalker skill tree. The first thing that a lot of people are going to say is, why didn't you throw anything into the hunter tree? Because that's where you have the rack skill. That's where you have the potential to throw up to 4 and then do it again in potentially 8 racks. However, I consider that an action skill, so we decided to forego that and focus more on the actual pet that's going to be roaming with you as you progress through the Borderlands 3 story. Speaking of pets, we decided to go with the Skag for this particular build as they'll be offering extra damage. You do have the option to go with the Jabber if that is more your playstyle. However, I felt the third phase of the Skag was a little bit more powerful than the second phase of the Jabber. And then we also went with the Gamma Burst skill. So Fl4k creates a rift at a target location, teleporting their pet through the rift and dealing radiation damage to nearby enemies. Additionally, Fl4k's pet becomes irradiated, growing in size and dealing bonus radiation damage when it attacks. Using Gamma Burst while Fl4k's pet is down or dead will revive the pet at the target location with 30% of its health, but will double the action skill cooldown time. Of course, we went with Gamma Burst because it has a direct impact on the pet itself. The other two skills don't necessarily impact the pet, and with this being a pet build, of course this was the natural choice. So diving straight into the skills, we start with Ferocity, throwing 5 points in this because we want to increase the damage for Fl4k's pet as much as possible. With 5 points, you're getting an extra 50%. Then we come down to the second tier, and we start with Who Rescued Who. Whenever Fl4k's pet deals damage, Fl4k regenerates health for a few seconds. Whenever Fl4k deals damage to an enemy, their pet's health is restored for a portion of the damage dealt. So this skill is key because it keeps your pet alive longer and allows them to fight for you for the duration of these battles, regardless of how difficult they may become. This skill also becomes even more integral as we get into the additional skills, as you guys will see. But when we deal damage, pet health revives. When they do damage, we get health regen, which is going to be also benefiting them once we get down further through these trees. Then once we unlock the third tier, we go into Psycho Head on a Stick, which is a hunter kill skill. Whenever Fl4k kills an enemy, their pet gains increased movement speed and damage for a few seconds. Of course, the more damage we can give our pet, the better they're going to be at taking out the enemy. So of course that is going to be vital. And then we also went with Hive Mind. When Fl4k takes damage, a portion of all damage they take is shared to their pet instead. So 15% of the damage that we're taking is actually going straight to the pet, which is one of the reasons why we went with Who Rescued Who, in order to help keep them alive, even though they are taking that damage on our behalf. We do have an extra point to spend, so we decide to throw one down into Frenzy, which is a hunter skill. When Fl4k's pet deals damage, Fl4k and their pet gain a stack of Frenzy. Each stack of Frenzy increases damage. The stacks decay after a few seconds. So of course, this is just continuing to stack the damage of our pet. Benefits us as well, but again, the pet being key for this particular build. Then that opens up the next level, and we go straight to Mutated Defenses. When Fl4k's pet is at low health, it gains damage reduction and regenerates health. This skill has a long cooldown. This is great. Not only are they getting shot by the enemy, but they are also getting 15% of that damage through us because of the Hive Mind. So with Mutated Defenses, they're going to get damage reduction. On top of that, they're going to regen some of that health on top of the health regen that we're giving them because we're doing damage to the enemy as well. So again, this is going to help our pet stay alive as they do our bidding and run into mobs of enemies if you choose to go with the Skag. Speaking of Skag, we went with the Iridian Skag for this particular build. A Fl4k Skag evolves into an Iridian Skag, which will increase Fl4k's damage and fire rate. When Fl4k issues an attack command, the Iridian Skag pulls nearby enemies in by generating a singularity. So this is going to be great for the Skag itself because it generates a singularity, everyone gets pulled in, and then the Skag can go on its way doing the damage that it's going to be doing, as well as making the enemy easier for you to hit because they're all going to be in one location in and around your Skag. Coming over to the next skill, we went Barbaric Yawp, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. Increases the power of pet bonuses granted to Fl4k. This, in my opinion, is probably one of the most vital skills for this entire build. Because of every single pet skill we are giving our pet, they are essentially doubling that bonus. So this is going to be huge across the board for this particular build. And then we get our first action skill, Augment Endurance. When Fl4k or Fl4k's pet kills an enemy while Gamma Burst is active, the duration of the Gamma Burst is extended and pet damage is increased. These effects can stack up to 5 times. If we throw the Gamma Burst out there and we keep getting kill on kill on kill, let's say it's a mob of lower tiered enemies, then the Gamma Burst is going to stay out. We're going to get extra pet damage, which is going to be huge. And you'll see the next action skill augment that we add that will also have a huge impact on our play style as well. The second augment, this is going to be huge as it relates to keeping our pet alive, because there is going to be a skill on one of the other trees that we're going to help augment this. So after using Gamma Burst, the rift remains for the duration of the skill. While standing near the rift, Fl4k and their allies rapidly regenerate health. Initially, this is not going to benefit our pet at all. It's going to keep us alive. We're going to get that health regen. It's going to be great for our allies. And it also pairs very well with the endurance, because if we can keep getting those kills, the rift will stay open, we'll continue to regenerate health. This will help our pet later on as we add more skills to our second tree. However, for now, this is just going to be a huge upgrade to us and our own survivability. That opens up the next line for us, where we have Shared Spirit. When Fl4k is low health, a portion of all damage they take is shared to their pet instead. So when we get low health, that's an extra 50% that our pet is going to be taking on our behalf. Helps keep us alive, of course, but we also have the mutated defenses and the Who Rescued Who to help combat that, because we are doing the 50% on top of the extra 15 that our pet is already taking on our behalf. So of course, we want to do everything we can to help mitigate that damage that we are giving to our pet. Pack Tactics, all damage dealt by Fl4k and their pet is increased. Additionally, the maximum health of both Fl4k and their pet is increased. So extra 15% health, great. That helps mitigate a lot of those shared health skills that we recently put on. On top of that, more damage means more kills for our pet, means more bonuses when we get into some of these other skills, which I'm going to mention in a second, which is all going to pair on itself. If one pet isn't enough, then we have Dominance. Melee Override skill. Fl4k establishes dominance over an enemy, turning it into an ally for a short time. If the enemy is a beast, the duration is doubled. While under the effects of dominance, the target constantly loses health until it dies or the effect ends. Only one enemy can be dominated at a time. An enemy can only be dominated once. One pet isn't good enough for you, the Iridian Skag isn't doing it, then turn an enemy into a pet on top of that. So again, this is just creating more pets for you to play with. Not directly impacting our pet itself. However, it only costs 1 point, and I'm sure it's going to be a fun skill once the game comes out to run around, melee someone, and then just turn them into an ally. So why not? Then we come back down to some of these other skills that I skipped previously. So back to Frenzy, we added a couple more points here because we want that damage increase to stack even further beyond just the 1 point that we had originally. So we decided to max out to 5. And then we also added a couple points to He Bites. When Fl4k's pet takes damage, the pet returns some of that damage to the attacker. This is going to be a great combo for the Iridian Skag that we have because of that singularity, meaning more enemies are going to be attacking the Skag due to the proximity, and then we're going to be reflecting 10% of that damage to those enemies, doing, again, more damage on top of what the Skag's already doing based on our other buffs. And of course, if you account for the Barbaric Yawp, then of course we're going to be doubling that reflected damage. Go for the Eyes was also added to our pet as well. When Fl4k's pet attacks an enemy, first melee attack is an automatic critical hit that deals increased damage. So our pet goes in, first attack on any enemy is going to be a 75% crit, which is going to be huge as far as being able to take out some of those enemies as quickly as possible. Then we come over to the Stalker skill tree. We start with Sick'em. The attack command has lowered cooldown and increased damage. So the attack command, that singularity, we are going to be doing that more often now, which is going to be great because we have the damage reflection on top of our Skag wanting to just go around and take everything out with the damage buffs that it already has. We add a couple points to self-repairing system in order to unlock the second tier. So with self-repairing system, Fl4k's maximum health is increased and they constantly regenerate health. So we're constantly regenerating health. And let's not forget, we get the health regen from not only our pet giving us the health regen when they do damage, but also when we're standing by that rift. So this is going to be great for keeping us alive. How does this impact our pet, you might be wondering? Well, All My BFFs is the skill that's going to bring this all together. Allies share a portion of Fl4k's total health regen. Fl4k's pet shares twice the amount of health regen. So all the health regen that we're getting through our different skills, through our pet healing us because they're doing damage to the enemy, for us standing next to the rift and keeping that rift open longer because we're getting kills with that action skill open. This is actually going to benefit our pet as well. They are getting this health regen on top of the health that we're giving them for doing damage to enemies, on top of the extra health pool that we decided to give them through previous skills, as well as the skill that we gave them where they get extra increased damage resistance and the health regen that they get when they get low health. So again, Fl4k taking damage and the pet taking damage is all going to be mitigated back and forth because they're going to be health sharing, health regen, everything else. So this is going to be a great combo to help keep your pet alive on top of all the damage buffs that we gave them. Then the final skill that we decided to add is Lick the Wounds. If they're really going to be your best friend, they need to be able to save your life when it counts. So when Fl4k is in fight for your life, their pet will attempt to revive them. This is going to be huge for any type of solo run that you decide to do with Fl4k. This is also going to be great if your friends are a bunch of douchebags and they don't want to pick you up because they're too busy looting or they're too busy shooting things. When you go down, your pet will ultimately try to save you. And because they have the health regen, because they have the extra health, their chances of actually doing that are going to be greater. So a very simple skill tree with a focus strictly on the pet. This is going to be great if you are a pet lover in real life. If you decide that you want your pet to do all the work, maybe you're a terrible shot and you want your pet to do most of the damage because you can't hit anything. This is going to be great for you. At some point, I probably will do a build like this just to see if the theories that I have surrounding a lot of these perks are actually going to pan out. You know, will my pet actually be able to do this kind of damage that I'm expecting based on these perks? I don't know because the game hasn't come out yet, but I'm very intrigued by it. So if you do try something out like this, please let me know. I would love to see something like this. I feel like this build in particular would be a lot of fun just to see how much carnage your pet could really do. So that is the Robot's Best Friend character build. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, comment, tell me what you think about this build, tell me what you think about the other builds. How are you going to build your Fl4k? I want to know. And subscribe to the channel. You can catch the LaMuerteBlanca live stream on Mixer, Twitch, and now I am streaming on YouTube, so you can catch it all here as well. Don't forget to check out the Amara build videos that I already have out, the World Burn, as well as the Juggernaut. This is LaMuerteBlanca, and I'll catch you guys next time.